And I believe I have my battery charging while I'm doing this. I've used up a bunch of video today. All right. I am just going to sit down and do this on this little thing because I've got my camera up here, but I'm a little bit far away from it. All right. And that caused a problem on my last video. About 20 minutes of it, all you can see is what I'm doing up here, and I didn't get anything down here because I was working on a large piece of paper, and when I got down to the bottom, I was doing the bottom down here instead of shoving it up here. Anyway, so I'm going to redo this one just so I have all of them. So that one is 20 minutes of me chattering away. Okay, so this is going to be real nice and easy. So this is the second time today. And I've wet these up. So now you see this is dried down in the bottom. That's okay. You just bring it up, put some more color in, pigment color into the water. Now you're doing this. Okay, so the object is to keep the pigment out of the bottom of a puddle of water, because your puddle of water is your paint, and it's going to be as light or as dark as you decide it's going to be at that particular time. For example, okay. And did I get all the way around? Oh, cleaned my brush, put in some green. I'm going to tip it onto there, so I'm not going to really have any in my brush. And this has a lot that was already mixed up in here, so I just wet it up. Keep going, put the solid stuff up on the edge. Encourage it to be up there. Oops. Okay. So you see that pigment, don't throw that away when it peels up. It's still there. The water's out, that's all. Like this pieces here, one brown. Speaking of which, you can mix that blue and that brown together to make a semblance of a black. So we need to play around with this a little bit. This is the Baohong 100% cotton paper. It is a academy. It is for students, but it's not like for little kid students. It's, if you're studying and practicing, it's less expensive than the other stuff, but it's excellent. Move that up a little farther. All right. So, keep my key here. I'll use a slightly smaller brush than my size 10 there. I think this is a 7. Yes, it is. Series 7, size 7. This is my go-to brush. So, we'll start with the yellows once again. Actually, I might want to go with an even smaller one than that. Here. 4. Okay. I decided it would be a good time to do some taping because it's windy and there's some good wind sounds outside and sirens and things like that. No, I'm going to do it vertically just like I did there. But I'm going to change the order of the paints. So we're going to start with the yellow. I still haven't figured out what the tube of yellow says. So we're just calling it lemon yellow. Just because it's a smaller brush and a smaller page, you're not really seeing best watercolor practices. These brushes are made to hold from far away, and this one's wiggling around because I haven't used it in a while. So that one is, oh, this is gamboge. It's one of my favorite colors. It's actually a somewhat illegal color, but they're not using the actual gamboge. There's also one called New Gamboge, but it's a beautiful yellow. I think it might have been related to the rattan yellow that you can't get anymore either because it's poisonous. Okay, and then yellow ochre next. Our earth pigment. I'm not going to test these to see if they last longer on this kind of paper. Also gamboge, yellow ochre, now our burnt sienna. Now, even though I missed a lot of the painting part of this, I really meant to show it because I was using a bigger brush and everything. But you do get to see this rinsing and getting the colors, and that's something to watch while I babble away about what you can't see. Okay, burnt sienna. If I wanted to paint a fox, I'd use this color. Raw sienna is actually a yellow, kind of like the yellow ochre, but more transparent. And then again, I'm just puddling it around in there, and it's going to spread out on its own. Puddling it around. Okay, I think I'm going to move this away and put this up here. Okay, so in my earth colors, we are now going to the burnt umber. And this is why I kind of want to keep them in order, because like I called it the cobalt blue, I wasn't sure what it was. The ultramarine looked like cobalt, you know, in this set. So knowing what the order is that you put them down helps. So here's our burnt umber. This paper seems to pull the color into it more and faster. This kind of light on top. It's very smooth though. This is a hot press paper. I prefer the hot press paper because I can see my brush strokes more and my different layers. It's the smoothest watercolor surface. And then a raw brown. That I was saying maybe is a Van Dyke brown in the other video, but we didn't get to see exactly which one I was talking about, other than fiddling around in the palette, loading up the brush. Okay. Now I decided, well, I think that yellow-orange should have been up there, and I'm going to put it up there right after the yellow ochre. It's very light. Yeah, they look lighter coming off of my brush on this paper than they do on the other paper. Okay, so now vermilion. No, I know what I was going to do. Whoops. No. Let's see. Yeah, vermilion, which is an orangey red, and vermilion is what it's called unless you're using a cadmium, and it would be your cadmium red light. Vermilion. Scarlet. I'm going to change scarlet, go with the crimson. And after the crimson, we're going to get this little rose red. I think this is what it's called, rose red. And it's, are you looking? No, I'm holding it and showing myself. This rose red here is really more of a magenta. Yeah. Or a red violet. Now I've got little pieces of it that I keep swirling around in there and then putting up on the edge so they're not in the bottom. I can control the color better. There's a red violet. Okay. Now, after the red violet, I have some interesting colors here. These two purples turned out to be violet and green lotus. Okay, so now I'm going to head to the violets. Let's see. This one is the green lotus. I'm going to put the violet first. The green lotus looks slightly bluer to me. All right, violet. I'm bracing my finger here. I'm standing, by the way. I'm a little bent over, but I'm bending over this. It's a coffee table and I'm standing. I can move around better. And then my green lotus, which is a darker purple. Violet, I mean a darker violet. And one reason I'll put these near the browns is that in some languages, brown and purple are closely related. Okay, now, all right, there's my purples. I'm gonna wait on that indigo. Now, after purple, I'm gonna put the blues. So I'm going through the whole color spectrum here in what I think is a good order. Okay, need to sit. So, sitting down is how I wound up doing a bunch of work completely off camera. So this is that indigo, and then this is the ultramarine that looks like cobalt. It's just a delicious. This one, you know, is a blue that you'd want to go out and buy a tube of a more expensive paint. And I recommend Winsor Newton. And just little by little collect the ones that you like. Okay, so we got ultramarine, which looks like cobalt to me. But it's true, that is more of a Sargasso blue. But then again, I think maybe cobalt is Sargasso blue. So here's the cobalt right here. I'm mixing into the water. So you see, I wetted them up, and then I can come back around. And I do this when I'm working on a painting. I wet all the ones that I'm going to use, which is all of them, because I don't know. Just put a little bit of water in each of the wells over there and go from there. Well, if you put the water onto it, then by the time you get around to the colors, they're soft. They're really ready to go into the water. This is cobalt blue here. And then after the cobalt, I'm going to use the indigo. So these are 3 dark blues, and this indigo is, I think it's a little more toward green. And that's our blue jean indigo. Blue jean blue. Indigo is a plant. It's a plant-based dye. So it can fade quickly. And you know, in blue jeans, we like them to fade. We get them real dark and then they fade. Indigo. And now cerulean, which is a blue-green. Sometimes it's a warm blue-green. It's a really neat color. Yeah. I've got some gold leaf flecks that got onto there. I'm not using this for gold leaf, just blowing around or something. Cerulean. And I'm going to go through my greens next. So we got phthalo, dark green, light green, and sap green. All right, when I put this color out earlier, I also mentioned it reading about it. This phthalo cyanine. There's a phthalo blue too. A lot of people just love it, but it's a very acidic color. ACIDIC, acidic. Green. Now dark green. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I think I might be missing something. Actually, no, I don't know, but I should have 22. Did I get the crimson? Yeah, and then I got that. Okay, so cerulean and this phthalo green, now the dark green. Which I like a lot. Sometimes the dark green is called forest green. My favorite is hooker's green, and that's, don't see it a whole lot. It's proprietary, I think, to Winsor Newton, but I'm not sure. But I have gotten, it's really blue. It's dark green. Yeah, it's really bluish looking on this paper. I did get a hooker's green little tube watercolor from one of the ones I got from Aaron Brothers, a Chinese set like this, similar to this. And next, light green. Not really light green, because light means, with white, that just means more water. So what they're calling sap green, I would call this sap green instead. And this last one here that they call sap green, I think is more of an olive green or an earth color green. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Maybe I didn't count that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. What's missing? Yellow, 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 sienna, brown, brown, yellow, orange. Vermilion, scarlet, vermilion, the reds, so I'm going to have to do those over. That's fine. We're going to go vermilion, that's fine because we got the yellow orange up here too. So vermilion. Sometimes this is the color that we'll see sometimes on like Chinese pillars. That's the closest to it. You can mix two reds together to get exactly the red that you want. Vermilion and scarlet. Also, you notice I pressed on my brush and it didn't look very good. And the point is to use the brush to drag the water around. And then vermilion, scarlet, and crimson. And rose red or red violet. Now I picked this up from the same water that's down there, so it really, both of these are going to be pretty equal looking because I have a mixed up paint down here that I've used both times. The water with the color in it is the paint. And then again, when these dry, they're just going to be on there like that. They might kind of get flaky. You just put water in them and you pick up that stuff too. It's a great, great medium. So, one thing I'm curious about is how this stuff mixes. So let's do a little bit, not much. Let's try the indigo with this. Let's try the crimson. What should we put in the crimson? I'm going to try this gamboge. And this is mostly pigment at this point. There's not a whole lot of water in it, but that's fine. So I'm not going to. Crimson and ultramarine. And then we can also mix colors. Oh, I was going to show you how to mix black. If you've ever had a fountain pen, or some of your old water-soluble Pentel pens and things, you notice when the black gets wet, it'll separate into a blue and kind of an orange or red, some variation of blue and some variation of red together. I always look at it and go, how can those colors come out of that? That's black. Well, it's not really black, it's those things. We're going to get that, what's our darkest brown? The raw brown. And mix a bit of that in here. This is a bluish black, but it is a black. Ready? Like it? And add some more brown because it's bluish. That's really what makes it look like a black. There's the blue, and the brown kind of gives it some darkness. There, still got a nice black there, or gray. You can tell that's brown, you know, but you can call it a warm black, or if you were to make it into a wash, you would call it a warm gray. Now, we can also call that a neutral. So you don't need black when you watercolor. Black will kill your colors. It just is like a dead zone for your eye. And then putting a white gouache on top is a little bit of a dead zone too. I just use the white of the paper to give you that. Now I can't take this off of here yet. I'm kind of itching to do something on that. This is a smooth, nice paper, isn't it? And then these are Temu art supplies. I got this from Temu, and I got these toothpicks from Temu. And what I wanted to do was see, I would like to do an ongoing watercolor class with some people who have their own watercolors and palettes, so that they can, really get the joy of working with this stuff, and to have nice brushes. I have bought a few brushes. I found some squirrel hair brushes. Those weren't nice brushes in the past, but they are now. Natural hair brushes for watercolor. And these look like pretty decent watercolors. They're very bright, and you don't have to paint bright. So next, we're going to be, how do you, use these? Number one, I don't use all of these colors. I probably wouldn't use this, and I wouldn't have a purple. I would probably keep around the green lotus, just because that's an interesting concept. But what I do have is more of a scarlet or a crimson red, and then more of a vermilion or orangey red. That are my two reds. My yellows also have more of a acidic lemon yellow and a real warm yellow. And it's, usually the warm yellow that I use. And then I do have some earth tones I don't have here, but I have these, and I have the Van Dyke brown, and I have chrome oxide green, which actually is like a terracotta green, or terra verta. There's that, the green earth, and red earth, and yellow ochre. And then I have a cobalt blue and a cerulean blue as my two basic blues. Two basic reds, two basic yellows, two basic blues, and some that are special, like a hooker's green, right? A special green, and a terra verta green, an earth green. But basically, it's red, yellow, and blue. And then you have seen when you try to mix red with yellow and red with blue, it works with one and not the other, because some reds are more blue and some are more yellow. Anyway, that's all. I hear the wind a little bit. It was whistling. The wind was whistling out here. Still having fun looking at this. Oh, did this stop?